Welcome to the KYP podcast. My name is Dany. I'm here with my co-host.
It's your boy James.
Kevin G.
So guys, I know we were outside earlier having a topic discussion about, what we're going to do with the KYP podcast in the future. We have all these hopes, ambition. Hopefully we can quit our jobs doing the podcast full time. And it came up to my, something came up and just said, what if we were offered like $1 billion or like millions of dollars? Will we actually just sell the podcast and move forward?
Yeah, because, when we first got together and started this, all the conversation was about integrity, we would never...
Following your passions.
We would never sell out. It's all about following your passions. And, but part of that is being able to do this full time. And part of doing it full time is we need to be able to feed ourselves and clothe ourselves. So we're going to have to monetize at some point, right?
Yeah.
And so basically our discussion, when we were having a break, thinking about topics was, how are we going to balance that? Right? Balance staying true to ourselves and what the podcast is about. And then, as we grow, inevitably we're going to be, we're going to have opportunities to work with brands, to monetize our podcast as a platform. And so, what is it? Is it like if we get offered $10 million, we don't ask any other questions, we just sign the dotted line? Or, are we going to be a little more nuanced in who we work with?
I think it's definitely on the nuance side because, at the end of the day, we are just three regular Asian ass dudes trying to talk about everyday issues, talking about our upbringing being Asian Canadians. All three of us, well, two of us here are artists. You switch careers out of whatever you were doing, law, into sales now.
He's an artist now. He's a
but
podcaster.
Now you're an artist too.
This is the first, this podcast is the first creative thing I am actually doing on a consistent basis ever in my life. Maybe piano lessons, but that's because my parents forced me for 10 years. And over those 10 years, I was still playing the same 3 songs.
I think that's every single one of us. The worst for me is having that piano teacher on the side that was screaming tone deaf.
Yeah.
Bubble
notes. Your fingers.
I was like, do. I'm like, bitch, that's not a do.
Yeah. So my creative, my creative resume is piano player, podcaster. So
You came at a good time, I feel.
Yeah,
I feel like you waited until we all plateaued, so you just came in. Hey, I'm gonna take advantage of these dudes that they used to do shit, and then hey, let's start something new.
I have the vision. Follow me. Moses, let my people go.
Jesus.
After we've done all the work, you come in, swooping in,
and it's like I parted the Red Sea.
So it's easy for you, eh? It's easy right now.
But that's my, I play to my strengths, right? Like I would never be able to have this set up on my own. I don't know anything about film.
But it's not easy as we saw it a few weeks ago when you were feeling burnt out doing work and then doing the podcast. What happened?
Oh, that was tough, man. Like I was just very busy at work. I had a lot of deals that were active, a lot of business happening, and everybody says, "Oh, I got a deal," and the perception is in sales, you get a deal, you get the client to agree to purchase,
you close.
Then it's champagne, it's celebrations.
Yeah.
At the company I work with, basically, once the order comes in from a client and a deal is active, it just means I'm getting fucked in the ass for the next month to close it, right? Because in the month, you have to get all this stuff done to close it to actually get paid.
Yeah.
And so basically 2 weeks ago, we were in the middle of launching, I think, our 5th week.
Yeah.
And I was just like, guys, we got to cancel the podcast.
You were so close to giving up, right?
Like on my end,
It depends on the approach we were gonna give him, right?
Yeah.
How we approached it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like for me, I just had no bandwidth. Like if it was dependent on my contribution that week, we would have to have a pause, right? But the boys were extremely supportive. Like I saw the experience come through. Because you guys have been doing creative projects on multiple occasions on the past, and everybody was like, Kevin, I know exactly what you're talking about right now.
Take a break.
You just forget about the podcast, do what you need to do. But, me and Dany are going to continue on, our scheduled programming. We have to be consistent.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very grateful that was the approach you guys went with, because otherwise we would have missed a few episodes, and the momentum wouldn't have been the same. And so, I think that was my first, real challenge or obstacle in managing a professional life, full-time job, and doing a side hustle. So I'm very grateful to have you guys, as support.
Yeah, it was. We've all been in your shoes, and that's why it was so easy for us to like.
Yeah, it was instant.
understand.
Like the first message that came out, I knew exactly. Like I had a feeling of relief. I'm like, oh, okay, great.
But that's what teamwork is, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like it only happens because I feel like it does happen when everyone gives up, when everyone's new to the.
I agree.
To that industry. So if we all were starting at the same level, I feel like, okay, fine. Let's take a break. Let's focus on our work and not be consistent, right?
Yeah.
But at that point, it's like, and we're 3 people, right? We're not just like, you're not one person. If you're one person, bro, I feel bad for you. Like, yo, if you're doing a podcast by yourself and like doing work like 9 to 5, oof, that's so hard, even for experienced people, But I definitely, saw Dany struggle. I struggle. We were working together for so long. A couple years ago, we definitely felt the heaviness of working in a creative field. You know why? Because you're not getting paid for this shit, right? Like we're not getting paid, and we're working so hard, and we're not seeing the gains, in front of us. It's like, why the hell am I working this hard? Like I could just be. Look at my stories. I could just be on vacation, or I could have dinner, or I could do whatever.
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? Right. That's probably what you were in that mindset.
Yeah, like it was a day where I came home from work. Everything was falling apart. What was supposed to get approved didn't get approved. This got pushed back. We weren't able to get the salary we were thinking we were gonna get.
End of the world.
We have to negotiate this now. Now it's got escalated up to the fucking VPs. Now I have to get
And then you have to watch the podcast.
And then I have to come home, watch the podcast, clip the videos, post on social media, share it.
Shit's
and
tough. Yeah.
all I wanted to do was just lie down and veg out a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because when I wake up in the morning, it's
Back to the same shit.
we run it back, right? But now you see, I got over the hump, right? And that's all I needed, just a little bit of
Support.
of breathing room.
Yeah, because that's the thing, right? With Jay and I, not only are we creative, but we've had regular jobs doing not only one, but multiple projects on the side of our of our main job. And so that helped us develop the thick skin of just being like,
Resiliency.
hey, like you're not making money, but you're doing something. And sometimes you want to give up so badly. But as a creative, you can't really give up, right? Like the moment an ounce of your creativity and an ounce of your creative self dies, everything else dies around you.
You have nothing, literally.
You got nothing left.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that brings us, back to what Jay was saying is, we're doing all of this because it's our passion. We just want to talk. We just want to bring our feelings to the world, but we're not getting anything. But a lot of creators in this world will do anything they can just to gain something as quick as possible. And that's where selling out is the biggest thing for them. Like if someone dropped a fat wad of cash, will you sell out? And I think that's such an important thing to talk about.
Yeah, like you see it in the media landscape, right? Like the viral content creators, the creators who are doing it
With volume. They're selling it volume.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Specifically to get a volume, nothing else, right? To get eyes on them, and so that they can get those opportunities to sell out. Like example that comes to mind are, the influencers that pushed all these different cryptocurrencies, like pump and dumps, because those crypto companies have a lot of ammunition. Like when they come at you, the offer is like multi-million dollars for nothing. That's why you see so many like 20-year-olds, multi-millionaires, crypto millionaires, a 20-year-old in a Lamborghini for no reason, right? But my thing with that is, when we were talking, we were talking about $1 million. We were talking about $10 million. Like, yeah, no. We integrity, man. Integrity. And then all of a sudden Dany said, what if it was $1 billion?
We're out of here.
And then I was like, $1 billion, no questions asked, man. Let's go.
We're out of here.
We're fucking out of here. Right? So
non-negotiable.
So it's not as black and white as
it's not an easy answer,
right? Like so it's easy to judge these influencers and stuff, but you don't know people's situations. But at least for us, I think all three of us are on the same page in that we want to make an effort to stay true to ourselves, right? The whole reason why we started this is not only for money. Like money wasn't even the conversation when we started this, right? But money is becoming into the conversation because of that, examples of like that incident where I was burning out because I don't have the bandwidth to do this and also have to find income elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
So in order to do this long term and pursue our passions full time, we need to have ways to monetize, but we have to find ways to balance that. But back to the billion questions. $1 billion offer comes to us. I don't know. Spotify gives us $1 billion.
Is it each or is it split in three?
A split in three.
How much is that? 300
yeah,
million?
Yeah, 333 million. Yeah.
Shit, that's winning the lotto.
That's winning the lotto,
Shit.
Right? But what if the product was like real, like one of these crypto coins?
I think at the end of the day, we have to put a definition on what means to sell out, right? Because a lot of people shell out the term, oh, you sold out, you did this. In my social media days, like I've done promotion and stuff that I wasn't proud of, but I kind of needed the cash.
Yeah.
And so I took the deal even though I didn't believe in. And so I kind of want to go around and just wonder, what is your definition of truly selling out? Because there's one thing to do something because someone offers you money, right? If like Woo Young Mi gives money to Jay to like promote their clothing on his podcast, people are going to be like, yo, Jay's selling out. He's wearing brands, even though he's selling his like merchandise. But there's a difference, right? And I just wanted to know where do we draw the fine line of selling out?
Yeah, so I think it's definitely the brand. So it's like the example with Woo Young Mi. If that brand approached me to, you got to wear the clothes in your podcast and we'll pay you this amount of money, I think I would do it because I believe in that brand. I love their clothing. But if it was Zara, and that's an example because I was hating on it a few years ago, if they approached me, I would think twice. I don't think I would say no, depending on what it is and what they're trying to advocate for. You just have to think about it because it's like, what is the implications for yourself, right? And what is written in the contract? Definitely, you gotta fucking lawyer up for those kind of deals because you don't know what you're setting yourself up to. And I think the mistakes that when we call people selling out, it's like they don't look at the fine print, right? They're like, oh, they see this big wad of cash as you said, but they're not reading what's behind it. So like the cryptocurrency that crashed. What was it called? FTX. A bunch of basketball players, famous people were promoting it, right? Like Stephen Curry and everybody. They just saw the cash. They didn't know what the hell they were promoting. They just heard cryptocurrency. It's like, oh yeah, that's the new thing. It must be good. So they accepted that deal. But they didn't realize how many people they fucked over afterwards when it crashed and everyone lost their money, their bank accounts, their mortgages, et cetera, et cetera. And they didn't say themselves that, like when they were promoting FTX, like, you know, you should buy crypto. They were just wearing it on their jerseys or their clothes. They weren't actually like selling it, but they were selling it indirectly, right, by promoting the brand. So I'm very mindful of that kind of marketing, right? So if it's like a brand like Zara, where like they do copy artists, you know, they copy people's designs, and make a profit out of it. It's like, I have to think twice, you know.
You have to do the research.
Do your due diligence, right? Yeah. You need to know exactly what you're promoting, because it's gonna backfire. We're building this podcast, and at that level we'll be so high, and it's like it'll crumble in an instant because of that one decision you made. And so you need to. This is like you need to treat this as your house, right? You don't want to shit in your own like house. You don't want to destroy your house. This is the foundation. This is what, you know, keeps you protected and houses you, right? So but yeah, it's so hard to do those decisions in that moment. I feel like it's super hard. So I don't blame people that do sell out.
When the money's in front of you.
Yeah, you're blinded. Like, I don't blame the people that do sell out, because they just need it. They need the money, right? They're struggling. So I get it.
Yeah, so that's a big factor, right? The moral issue, like, you know, inadvertently working with a brand or a company that is doing shady stuff. You know, you didn't do your research. Immoral, immoral activities, immoral conduct. I think that's one big factor. Another big factor for selling out for me is losing control of what you're doing, like losing control of the podcast, losing control of your content, literally selling out, like selling your your work to another entity to control, right? This is like, think, you know, if Supreme or Nike came in and offered us a bunch of money, but now, you know, every week they have their handlers reach out to us. You know, this is the agenda for this week. You know, this is what you're going to talk about.
Yeah.
You know, give us the report on your engagement. Give us the report. I think, you know, that for me is
scary,
very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. For me, you know, obviously I like to, you know, avoid being associated with immoral actors. But for me, the biggest thing, the reason why I wanted to start this in the first place is I'm sick of the corporate establishment. I'm sick of, you know, all my hard work, my blood, sweat, and tears is going to make, you know, my board of directors, my shareholders happy. You know, if we end up selling out in that way to one of these giant corporations, what the fuck am I doing this for?
It's just another 9 to 5.
Yeah, it's just another 9 to 5, but we talking into mics instead of, you know, punching away at our keyboard.
Yeah.
Like, that is what you know, I strive for in this project, in this endeavor, to have freedom of you know, freedom of everything, freedom of when we work, how we work, what we talk about. That's very, very important to me.
So the reason why, when you approached me last year regarding, you know, starting something, getting creative again, you know, I was at a point where I had given up on that creative route, like, or not given up, but I stopped it completely and just focused on work, right? And I was so miserable, like, and like, I feel like, you know, as much as, you know, I helped you in that situation, I think you helped me a lot, and realized like, there's another opportunity for myself to redeem myself. Because, you know, when Dany was saying, like, if you're not doing your creative thing and you're not doing things for yourself, then you have absolutely nothing. Yeah. Right? And when I was like working, I literally had nothing to like really be excited for. You know, I'm like, you know, I have a job now, you know, I'm corporate now, but now that I realize I'm working in corporate, it's like, wow, this is like, it's a black hole in my life.
You're a cog.
You're constantly like as you were saying, you're a number. It's all about KPIs. It's like doing reports every week, meetings every week. You have to sell. You have to push. But what am I even pushing for?
You're not representing the company properly. You're not representing.
Yeah, you're like you're slacking. You're doing this. It's like, wow, this is like all these things was just like a black hole to me. And then this podcast KYP, it's like bringing me back to like that energy, the gold energy, the rush. It's like. It's coming back, like it's finally taking control of my own life. I've decided to come here and do the podcast with you guys, like I worked all day. I'm here. I don't give a fuck. 6 p.m., 6:30, we're here and we're going to work until midnight,
easy.
I would never do that for my own, for a company I'm working for. Fuck that shit, bro.
Like this shit, we don't even think twice, right?
You don't think twice. Yeah. And I think that's where integrity comes from. It's like this process that we're doing to achieve. I'm never gonna let it go. I'm never gonna let go of this gold because this is like literally for myself.
Thank you for sharing that context too. Because when I did approach you, like I didn't realize that you were.
It sparked something in me as well.
I didn't know the context behind where you were in your stage of life as well. I thought everything was going well for you,
and it was going well, but it's like. I wasn't doing things for myself anymore. Yeah. At that point. And now it's like taking control back in my life.
Yeah. You were kind of acceptant of the it's time to grow up. That's how most people rationalize it, right? When their little house of creativity or passion is imploding, the rationale I hear it all the time. It's like, this is part of growing up. You just have to accept it. Everybody else, it's time to stop.
The dreaming is done. Like stop dreaming.
Stop diddling around with your little clothing, with your little things. Get a job, get married, get a house. Be a fucking contributing member of society. That's kind of like the rhetoric you hear from society,
the
from
programming,
the mainstream, right? And that's fine. I'm not shitting on that life at all. That's great for many people. That created a lot of wealth and success.
That's what our parents did, right? Right. That's what our grandparents did. Yeah.
From our parents' perspective, the system that we're talking about, that we're having issues with, that saved my parents' life. Yeah. They were in communist refugee from China. You know what I mean? Like, the situation there was way worse. So when they came over here and, they saw people not working hard and not taking their job seriously, they saw a land of opportunity. Oh my God. Like, I can do anything I want and I can get paid for it as long as I work hard for it. Yeah. In China, like, you didn't even get to wash dishes if you weren't assigned to wash dishes back in 1960s.
Shit, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah.
So it's different perspectives, but we have to work with our reality. And the reality for us is we're not starving. We're not hungry. Like, the struggle we face is more mental than anything else, right? So because it's so mental, to have a satisfaction, within, right? Or within ourselves, to satisfy things that are greater than just accumulating money and being successful. We have to have a sense of fulfillment in what we're doing, because those are the cards we were dealt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, Dany. Like, you were talking about like photography and how you want to transition out. How do you feel like that is your 9 to 5, right? Photography, and how do you feel? How is your life going in terms of career choices, and what do you want to do in the future?
Well, for sure, like I've been doing photography for like a decade now. I started when I was 16, over a decade. I started when I was 16. Now I'm like 27.
Yeah.
And it's a rough journey, right? Like, I had a fire in my eyes when I used to start photography. Like, not a lot of people know like my past, how I started photography. They always ask me like, how did you start photography? I was like, yeah, I was fucking bored. Which is true. I was fucking bored. I picked up a camera. I filmed like some sea walk videos on like a point and shoot.
Nice.
And then like my dad said, do you want a GoPro or do you want a DSLR? And I took DSLR. And so, because I could do photos and videos. But I just started just taking pictures, back then I always had like, I was known with as the guy in Sejap who always carried around a fucking camera and shoot everything. Butterfly flying, take a picture. Building, take a picture. People smiling, take a picture. Now I don't want to touch my camera. Like, I got to a point where I sold my soul to the devil and I had to take any jobs that I could. You know, a lot of people don't realize how hard it is to be an artist. Yeah. Like, when you had $5 in your pocket a day and you had to like walk around and figure out like, oh, there's this little auntie at like the Vool, like the banh mi place. And she knew me, so she gave me like the banh mi with no tax for $5 and just shoved like some extra chalo inside of it.
Wow.
And because I was there and she was like, oh, you can grab a drink if you want to, because I went there every day because I only had like $5 in my pocket.
Yeah.
And now, like, you know, I live downtown. I have all this equipment. I work like 10 days a month, let's say. I have like 10 shoots a month. And I'm blessed to be in this situation, but at what cost, right? Somewhere down the line, I sold my soul to the devil and just started working corporate, where I would show up to a shoot. The guys would hand me like a pamphlet, like a 5-page pamphlet of what exactly they want. And then they said, I want this, I want that, I want this shot. In my mind, like, everything's accounted for. I have all the gear. I have all the little things that I've already planned for. All I have to do is set up my light at 45 degree here, calculate the distance between my light to the product, factor that into my camera so I have the proper exposure, go home, apply a preset, call it a day. And so I've started realizing that like down the line doing this for like years on years, I kind of started fucking hating photography. It was just a job 9 to 5. Like I got up, like Jay would say like, yo, like you want to bring your camera along? Or I had friends like Carmelo, like, yo, let's bring your camera along and just let's shoot some outfits. I'm like, dude, I'm not fucking paid enough for this shit. Like I didn't want to touch my camera because it turned into a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And that brings back to the point where does it stops, right? Like how much money do you need to have in order for you to achieve something? And that's what we started this podcast for. We're not paid to do this. We just did this out of the kindness of our heart. All the equipment here, it's all coming out of our pockets. Thankfully, you're friends with a videographer and a photographer, and you had like half the setup already there.
Fucking blessed, bro.
But like, you know, this board was like what, $700, and we just paid it because like we thought it would upgrade our thing. Yeah. But I think in terms of integrity, at the end of the day, is that you want to be working for someone or with, I don't know, like for someone, with someone who respects your core values. If you don't believe in something, let's say, not to be too political, if you're right-leaning, left-leaning, and you're working with an opposite spectrum, that is your duty to just make some research. Let's say if you know nothing about money, don't work with a crypto. Crypto is the most complicated shit. I had Rioma, who's in Web 3.0, and he like had to take 2 hours to explain to me blockchain.
Yeah. It's complicated.
Don't promote that. Yeah. Have your core values set in and challenge yourself to learn new perspective. But at the end of the day, you have core values. Like one of my core values is loyalty. Like I will never fuck over my friends. I tell people like I have no morals, or I have no morals or dignity. The only thing I have is loyalty. I've always been loyal to all my friends. I would never like stab my friend in the back. And another one of mine is like friends and connection and family, because they're your bloodline. They're like people you believe in. And there's this one saying that I always stick to is that if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for everything. And I think it's important for us to understand, or for people to understand that, you know, that sponsorship deal might be good, but is it worth it? Is the backlash going to be worth it? Keep in mind that the bigger the prize, the larger the repercussions. If you get paid $100 to promote something, that's fine. But if you get given like millions of dollars to promote something and shit goes south, that's a lot of money that you've taken that I wouldn't consider blood money, but it's dirty money.
It's, you know, nothing in this world. Nobody's giving you $100 million for free.
Yeah, so true.
I agree.
You know, nobody's
there
even
is
giving
something.
Exactly, right? Nobody's even giving you $100 for free. It might be something small, but when we talk in millions, hundreds of millions, they are expecting something. You know what I mean? Like something is up, right? I think it's very interesting, Dany, how he kind of, what we're talking about here about integrity and how, the future is going to look like as we grow this podcast. Dany went through it with photography, right? Let me ask you, Dany, when you started photography, when you were taking pictures of people smiling, buildings, birds and stuff, did it feel like this?
No. Yes, it does. It did.
It feels like what we're feeling now, right?
We're just having
beginning.
fun. We're just chilling.
We're doing it just because we love to do it, right? Because we have no responsibilities. We're not making money, so we have no responsibilities. Nobody gave us nothing. Nobody expects nothing from us. So I think it's really great that, we have the self-awareness to be talking about this at such an early age and at such an early period in our progression to kind of already have foresight. But let me tell you guys, it's easy to talk shit now when
it's not gonna age well again.
It's not gonna age well.
Easy to talk shit when we're making $0, right? But something like Dany's progression in photography is going to happen to us. I guarantee you it's going to happen to us, right? And it's just a matter of kind of at that point, picking your poison. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna have to collaborate. You're gonna have to accommodate for the people helping you monetize. That is without a doubt. That's how the world works, right? But like you said, we want to pick partners and reputable companies that match with what we believe in, right? It can't just be about the dollar amount. The dollar amount has to be there, but there has to be a little bit more, right? It's not just sex. We want a little.
Whoa! Pause.
This is not just sex. We want to be taken out for dates too. We want to talk about our feelings.
We're not a one night stand.
We're not a one night stand out here.
Okay.
What I mean?
This is not sex.
This is not sex.
Jesus, that came out of the
fucking Kevin
blue.
G, bro. It's all about sex, eh?
I mean, at the end of the day, man, I'm gonna get destroyed on the clips this week, huh?
Definitely.
I'm gonna get destroyed on the clips. But yeah, it's not just about transactional, right? The transaction has to be there, but it has to be a little deeper than that, man.
Can chill with the references, bro.
But I think what Kevin says, like, beside all the
sexual
innuendos, is that it's about building a relationship with sponsors, right? A lot of people, like, they don't take the value in working with certain brands, right? They see the dollar amount and they say, I'm worth more than this, and so I deserve more money. But for me, I've worked with brands that, or I don't work with them anymore, but I'm still in contact with them. And let's say Sansote Ramen, right?
Yeah.
I was taking a lunch or a dinner back then, and I had my camera on me because I just finished a shoot, and I had to shoot for Collins in the showroom. So I was sitting there, 3-piece suit. I was just taking pictures, and the waiter comes. I was like, "Can I ask you what you do for a living?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm a photographer." And then he sees me taking pictures, and then I see him talking to the manager, and the manager comes by and starts talking to me and says, "Hey, by the way, I'm the owner of this branch, and I see you taking pictures. Can you take a picture for this, and I'll give you a free dessert?" I'm like, "Sure." So I take a picture, I send it over to him, but then I realized that my bill was covered. Like, he covered my bill. He just said, you eat for free. So I'm like, cool.
Wow, nice.
And then eventually, as I kept going there and I really liked that ramen over there, he started asking me more questions. He just started, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? To a point where I told him, like, yo, that pork you have, right? It's not the one you usually serve. He's like, yeah, how do you know? I was like, yeah, because this thing has like 20% fat. Usually it's more. Your thing is so fucking dry. He's like, yeah, sorry, like, our shipment's coming in. And then the next week he calls me. He's like, can you come back and try to make sure that our ramen is good? I'm like, yeah. And then he's like, I noticed you always order a Sapporo with it. I'm like, yeah, the burnt umami taste of the ramen goes really well with the malt in the beer. And then that developed a relationship where I sat down and he poured me a bunch of glass of wine. He was like, which one goes well with the dish? And it's building that relationship and just being friends with people in the industry. It's not about the money value. because if one person grows, you all grow.
That's just the result. The
It's
money is
not-
just a result, but
Money
the
is just a
process-
result.
Process
right?
is definitely the most important
It's
part.
not a transaction. It's not like
Yeah.
you give me money, I do something.
Exactly. Yeah.
If you truly believe in a brand, you want to work with that brand because you are going to hit rock bottom as a creative. And when you hit rock bottom, you will see companies' true colors, the ones that stick with you through rock bottom or the ones that pull out their sponsorship because they don't agree with something.
Yeah.
And that's what it is at the end of the day. It's like integrity. People want you to be genuine about yourself and have like integrity towards your brand. And that's why they stick with you. And it's not taking the dollar value at face.
Yeah, it's a relationship, right? I really like that, that approach to it, that perspective of it, right? Because, that example you give with the Sansote ramen owner, you're adding value. Like, he's not just giving you food for fun. Like, you add value because you're very knowledgeable and you pay attention to their work and you provide meaningful and valuable feedback to them, right? And it wasn't transactional. It's just because that's who you are too. You love ramen, you love food, and he
Respected my opinion.
respected your opinion, and that's the foundation of the relationship, rather than just a transaction. You take pictures from me, I pay you money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
And
that's-
it doesn't last, right?
Yeah.
A
And
lot of the times when we were doing RXR and we were just, it was always about a transaction. We were like so focused on the money. We need to get $1,000 for this shoot, and we need the $1,000, and
Because you guys were young too, right?
Mhm.
yeah, we were young, yeah, and then but we realized that it didn't last. Like we would get that $1,000, but next shoot would never come.
It never comes again, right?
Yeah.
So this is actually really relevant to what I do at work, right? So I'm an account manager, sales. My approach is very much relationship building, soft selling, based on network. Basically, in my job, I'm taught to sell the product. And that's new to me. I've never done a sales job before. So they taught me how to sell a product, understand the value proposition, what that is, handling objections to the value proposition, all that. But what after I learned that and implemented that got me to the baseline. Now I'm thriving in my job, not because of that. I learned that to do the basics, but I'm thriving at the job because I'm doing what I've always known how to do, which is sell myself, right? I've learned to sell the product, but in these meetings, when I'm talking to the clients, my number one priority, my emphasis is selling myself as someone you can trust, you easy to work with, dependable, reliable, charismatic, all of that. And so my client's relationship with me, our company has a great product. They see the value in that. But they want to work with me because they know I'm going to deliver. They like me as a person too, because we socialize with our clients. We take them out for dinner. We have chats. I know my clients, kids, they're taking tap dancing lessons. They vacation to Hawaii or Florida every week, every year because they have family there. I follow up on those kind of things when I see them. I know they like Italian food, so next time you're in town, I found this new Italian restaurant. Next time you're in town, we can go. Like, that is what I believe is, the crux of doing good business, right? Because it's not just about, hey, you have money, I have a product you want. Let's bang, bang, bang.
That's everybody,
right?
Yeah. Everybody. That's the product. But I think your approach is humane. And Dany's approach was humane as well. It's like as long as you see the other person as a person
right?
and not as a transaction,
not
as
a dollar
number,
sign, not
as a client. It's a client, obviously, but you're just that person's just another person that wants to learn. That wants that also has feelings, that has experiences, that's going through things, and that's how a good salesman becomes, because you're talking to a person.
I think like James and I, we both works in sales for fashion. We were like stores, like
Oh, retail,
associates,
yeah.
retail. And used to work at the shop called Sur Mesure, and now I have my own place called Maison Le Parem. And I still do suits. And every time client comes in, I remember back in the days at Sur Mesure, and I had clients, they would walk in one day and just be like, "Yo, is Dany working today?" Like, no, he's working tomorrow. So okay, I'll come back tomorrow.
They want to work with Dany.
They only want to work with me because I remember one time this guy walked in, and like, I'm kind of a walking encyclopedia for a lot of things. The guy walks in with like a checklist of all the stuff. I answered literally everything.
Yeah.
And then in his mind, he's like, this guy's going to sell me something. He grabs a Zegna suit, a Zegna fabric. It's like $1,700. I'm like, bro, why would you get a Zegna? Just get a Dorme. It's like $1,200. You save like $700. And I'm wearing a Dorme. Like, I preach Dorme because I have a suit. And he trusts me because I trust that brand.
Yeah.
And, you know, I just gave him advice. I follow up through email.
Give value.
He also DMs me. He's like, hey, I'm going to this event tonight. I have like 3 suit. Which one? I'm like, I remember making you a green suit like 4 months ago. Take the jacket from that green suit and put it with your brown pants that you just made. It's going to look great. Maybe add a blue shirt if you want something different. And the guy's like, got it. And I guess for you, it's the same thing. People come to you because you don't want to approach a client with money in your eyes. You want to approach because you want to help someone. And the more you give to someone, the more they're willing to give back. And the people who aren't willing to give back to you are the people you don't need in your life.
Yeah. So the only time the few times that I've definitely failed as a salesperson was when I viewed that person as a deal.
I have to get this
as
deal.
A commission.
I have to close this deal to get the money, right?
Because you know, I was so pressured into selling, into you know, making money, making commission, you know, getting deals.
Hitting your targets.
It gets into your head, definitely. Yeah, the targets. And the best times were the salespeople became my friends. You know, it was like, it was a very slow process. You know, they would come into the store, you know, I would give them my service, and, you know, maybe they would buy something, maybe they wouldn't. And then they would follow me on Instagram the next day, because they see me on the posts, you know, on their page, on the business page. And then, you know, they follow me and then they talk to me. And it's just like a relationship. It's like, it's not sex. Like, it's not like, you're right. Actually, now that I think about it, it's not sex. It's not a one night stand. You know, it's like, to have a girlfriend, like, you need to approach it as having a girlfriend or having a boyfriend. It's like, you need to just start it, take it slow, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that's such a good part of our like DNA, is like, you know, we're getting reached out by a bunch of people on Instagram. You know, we're taking the time to giving them a call, get to know them. You know, I love that about you, that, you know, let's get on a call and talk. Because that's how it starts, like a conversation. Like, you know, you get the sense of that person. If that person is really, you know, a good person, has good values, like, yo, we will definitely work with you.
Yeah. Instead of just being like, okay, what can you offer you? What can you offer me? What can I offer you? Okay,
and that's 99% of everything right now. Like, especially social media. It's like brand deals. It's like NBA. You know, how much money are you gonna give me? Like, it's always about transaction, but it's never about like just getting to know a person and learning from each other.
Yeah. You know, Dany, that example with the suit, the Zegna suit and the Dormes, that example is kind of, for me, encapsulate how I would like to approach, you know, how we would handle growing and monetizing, right? He could have easily upsold the client on that Zegna suit. Every other salesman in that store is like, oh, you picked the most expensive, you know, product. I'm not gonna say anything to jeopardize you buying this higher price item because I get a higher commission, right?
Yeah.
But Dany saw that, you know, there was actually a product that is actually as good, but more value, can, you know, make the client happy and also save them some money, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, of course he wants to make the sale, but, you know, he doesn't need to be greedy about it.
Yeah, it's all about greed For sure.
It's
So-
greed. It's always greed.
I think that's where that's where we're getting to, right? I would like to think that the three of us would be able to navigate this path of monetization in that way, right? I want to achieve results. I for sure want to be successful. I want to grow this as much as we can, but wherever we can exercise, avoid being greedy and being modest of what we can get, rather than just selling out for the highest bidder, is is the balance I would like to strike.
And I think another important thing too is that we all need to be, not all of us, but we need to be using a product.
That we believe in,
That we
right?
believe
Yeah,
in,
that we
right?
like.
So true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? I was giving an example to Jay and Kevin outside where it was like if a car brand reaches out to us and be like, hey, like we'd like you to drive this car, this motorcycle and stuff. I don't know if I can take the deal because I drive a vintage Honda. Like trust me, my motorcycle's bulletproof, but I don't believe your motorcycle will withstand a bump. So that's the thing. It's just believing and using the product. And that's why I have so much love for Dormeuil suits. It's because I have 2 suits on them. They look great. They drape really well. And I have no shame in promoting it.
So I think that is selling out, right? Like if Dany believes in something so much, he believes in the Honda vintage motorcycle so much. If he had then started going on this podcast promoting fucking BMW motorcycles.
Okay, their motorcycles are actually pretty good. But yes, like if I start promoting,
Suzuki.
no, not Suzuki.
Hyundai motorcycles if
No,
they
what's
made
that
one.
Indian one?
Indian one.
Shit. That's a brand that everyone hates, but whatever. It's like
So, yeah.
but you were saying
The
But-
Chrysler of motorcycles.
yeah, basically.
Yeah, I
The
don't
Rolls
know.
Royce into the Chrysler.
I don't know about motorcycles enough, but basically, like if
The
Dany,
Zara and Woo Mi.
yeah, right.
right?
So
Yeah.
you really believe in We On Me,
Yeah.
But Zara, you have your reservations about, and you've always been this person who supports local brands and whatever, and
Yeah.
now all of a sudden you're out there, you're as the talking piece for these multi-billion-dollar
Zara.
corporations, fast fashion, Zara.
I'd hate
It's
myself.
It's more
Yeah.
about how you feel, right?
hate
Because
myself.
when you go home at night, you know who you used to be.
Yeah.
And now every day you look at yourself and it's not consistent, right?
Yeah.
And that is a big part of selling out for me as well, right? And so I think the moral of this conversation is just we have to be mindful of all these things as we approach, as we continue to grow, because I have no doubt in the potential in this podcast. And because I have no doubt in the potential of this podcast, I have no doubt that we're going to have these problems. They're great problems to have, but once you have them, they're great problems to have when you don't have them. But then once you have these problems of monetization, picking offers, who to work with, they just become problems, right? And so we have to be prepared for that. And yeah, Dany, any last words?
No, I think that's basically it. I think Kevin summed it up well. By the way, that brand is Royal Enfield, piece of shit motorcycle.
Royal Enfield. Fuck you, Royal. Fuck you, Royal Enfield.
Yo, chill.
But I think at the end of
Cut,
the day, just be truthful to yourself. Believe in what you stand for. Don't let money get in the way. And it's like Maslow pyramids of needs, right? If you're struggling in a certain domain, don't let your passion start bleeding into your needs. Don't start involving things in your passion to sustain yourself. That's why I tell people, whenever you have a creative job, have a side job. Take money from it to fund what you're doing until you can do whatever you do and not worry about taking the shit contract, not taking selling your soul to the devil.
That's a great final point, right? Because we all have our full-time jobs, our full-time incomes, we have the freedom to do whatever the fuck we want on this podcast.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're not tied to eat on this.
Yeah.
Right? So if someone tells us, hey, you should do this, you should do that. Fuck you. I'm paying to do this. I'm paying myself to do this. Right? So, with that, Anybody who wants to sponsor us, reach out. Instagram, Kill Your Pride, everything. You know, I'll be the account manager for you. So you know, we'll have a great time. Hit me
Sell
up.
yourself.
Hit me up. We'll have a chat.
And so my name's Dany. Thank you for listening to the KYP podcast. These are my co-hosts.
Your boy James.
Kevin G.
And remember to
Kill Your Pride, baby.